Erica Vost had spent most of her adult life piloting cargo ships for the Galactic Trade Federation. She had seen her fair share of close calls and harrowing encounters, but this next run promised to be the most perilous yet. The supply route she was tasked with traversing cut through a notoriously lawless region of space, one teeming with the scourge of pirate raiders. As Erica oversaw the final preparations for departure, she couldn't help but feel a tinge of unease. Her ship, the Astral Voyager, was a workhorse, heavily laden with vital raw materials, food and medical supplies bound for distant colonies. But she knew that in the eyes of the pirates, the Voyager would appear a tempting, lightly armed target. "Captain, we're ready to cast off," our first officer, Jax, reported. "All systems green and the cargo hold is sealed tight." Erica nodded grimly. "Very good, Jax. Once we clear the docking zone, bring the defensive systems online and have the crew on high alert. I've got a bad feeling about this run." The Astral Voyager eased out of the bustling spaceport, its powerful engines propelling it towards the edge of the system. Erica watched as the familiar lights of the trade hub diminished in her rearview monitors, giving way to the cold, endless void of deep space. This was where the real danger began. "We're passing the outer marker, Captain," Jax announced. "Engaging defensive shields and powering up the point defense turrets. Scanners are sweeping for contacts." Erica tightened her grip on the ship's controls, her eyes narrowing as she studied the sensor feeds. The Voyager was no armed warship. Its defensive arsenal consisted of a few light plasma cannons and a basic point defense system, hardly a match for the gunships and corvettes favoured by the pirate gangs. But they had no choice but to press on. The colonies at the other end of the supply route were desperately counting on them. Minutes ticked by intense silence as the Voyager cruised through the blackness of space. Then, without warning, a series of proximity alarms blared to life. "Multiple contacts," Jax shouted. "Pirate vessels emerging from hyperspace, bearing down on our position." Erica felt a familiar rush of adrenaline. "All hands, battle stations. Divert auxiliary power to shields and weapons." The crew sprang into action, rushing to man their posts as the pirate ships closed in. Erica could make out the sleek, angular profiles of Marauder-class corvettes. Agile, heavily armed raiders that specialized in targeting lightly defended merchant vessels. "They're hailing us, Captain," Jax reported, "demanding we power down and prepare to be boarded." Erica scowled. "Tell them to go to hell. Charge the plasma cannons and stand ready to repel their boarding parties." As the pirate corvettes surrounded the Voyager, Erica braced herself for the inevitable assault. But just as the first salvo of laser fire streaked towards them, she noticed something unexpected. The pirates were hesitating, their attack pattern lacking the ferocity she had anticipated. "What's happening, Jax?" she demanded. "Why aren't they pressing the attack?" Her first officer's eyes widened as he studied the sensor readings. "Captain, the Voyager's defensive systems. They're more advanced than we thought." Erica felt a surge of hope. Perhaps the Trade Federation had finally taken the pirate threat seriously, outfitting their supply ships with stronger countermeasures. She keyed the ship-wide intercom. "All hands, stand by for a fight. These pirates are about to get a rude awakening." The pirate corvettes opened fire, their weapons blazing, but Erica watched with satisfaction as the Voyager's shields easily deflected the barrage. The ship's point defense turrets sprang to life, lancing out with rapid-fire pulses of plasma that pummeled the raiders' unshielded hulls. "Direct hits on 2 of the enemy vessels," Jax reported. "They're breaking off, taking heavy damage." Erica allowed herself a grim smile. "That's right, you scum. No easy targets here. Keep pouring it on, Jax." The battle raged on for several tense minutes, the Voyager's crew fighting with a desperate fury. Though outmatched in raw firepower, the supply ship's upgraded defences proved more than a match for the pirates' onslaught. One by one, the raider corvettes were forced to retreat, their captains realizing that this was no ordinary cargo vessel. Finally, with the enemy ships fleeing into the void, Erica let out a ragged sigh of relief. "Damage report, Jax." "Minor hull scoring, but our shields held," he replied, his features etched with awe. "Captain, I don't know how you did it, but we actually beat them back." Erica felt a surge of pride. "Not me, Jax. We did it. The whole crew. And I have a feeling this won't be the last time we have to defend ourselves out here." She leaned back in her seat, her gaze sweeping over the darkened expanse of space before them. The pirates are going to be in for one hell of a surprise when they come calling again. As the astral Voyager resumed its course, Erica couldn't shake the nagging feeling that this was only the beginning. The Galactic Trade Federation had finally taken the threat of piracy seriously, but she knew the raiders would not give up so easily. The supply ships had become too dangerous for their liking, and they would no doubt devise new strategies to overcome the newfound defences. Erica tightened her grip on the ship's controls, her jaw set with determination. She and her crew were ready. The days of easy pickings for the pirates were over. From now on, the supply ships would be the hunters, not the hunted. As the astral Voyager continued on its course, Erica couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The pirate ambush had been a stark reminder of the dangerous realities they faced out here in the lawless void of deep space. Though her crew had managed to fend off the raiders, she knew it was only a matter of time before they encountered an even greater threat. Jax approached her console, his expression grave. "Captain, I've been reviewing the sensor logs from the attack. The modifications to our defensive systems were more extensive than I realized." Erica raised an eyebrow. "Go on." "It seems the Trade Federation has been quietly upgrading the entire supply fleet," Jax explained. "We're not just talking about basic point defense turrets. These are advanced countermeasures, military-grade hardware that shouldn't be on a cargo vessel." Erica frowned. "That's concerning. Do we know the full extent of these upgrades?" "Not yet, but I'll keep digging." Jax paused, his brow furrowing. "Captain, I have to ask, did you know about this?" Erica shook her head. "No, I didn't. This is the first I'm hearing of it." She drummed her fingers on the console, her mind racing. The Trade Federation must have implemented these changes in secret, anticipating an escalation in pirate activity. "Which means they're taking the threat a lot more seriously than we realized," Jax murmured. "And if the pirates find out..." Erica's eyes narrowed. "Then we can expect them to retaliate in force. We need to get word out, warn the other captains." "Already on it," Jax assured her, tapping away at his console. "I'm broadcasting an encrypted transmission to the rest of the supply fleet. They need to know what we're up against." As the Voyager surged onwards, Erica couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much larger conflict. The pirates had been caught off guard this time, their predatory instincts thwarted by the supply ship's unexpected firepower. But she knew they would not give up so easily. The days of easy pickings were over. The raiders would be forced to adapt, to devise new strategies to overwhelm the fortified cargo vessels. And Erica and her crew would have to be ready, their defences constantly upgraded to stay one step ahead of their adversaries. It was a sobering thought, one that weighed heavily on Erica's mind as she continued to monitor the ship's systems. The Voyager was no warship. She was a workhorse, a humble cargo carrier pressed into a role she was never meant to fulfill. But Erica knew that the stakes were too high to falter. The colonies they supplied depended on the safe delivery of these vital resources. Failure was not an option. As the hours ticked by, Erica's apprehension only grew. The pirate gangs would surely regroup, and they would undoubtedly come back in greater numbers. She couldn't help but wonder how long their modified defenses would hold up against a determined, coordinated assault. Jax's voice suddenly crackled over the intercom. "Captain, we've got another contact on the sensors. It's a pirate corvette, and it's hailing us." Erica tensed, her fingers flying over the controls. "Put it through, Jax. Let's see what these scum have to say." The view screen flickered to life, revealing the sneering visage of a pirate captain. "Attention, cargo vessel. You've made a grave mistake interfering with our operations. Now you and your pathetic crew will pay the price." Erica steeled herself, refusing to be cowed. "We have no intention of surrendering to the likes of you. Your kind are no longer welcome on these trade routes." The pirate captain let out a harsh laugh. "Bold words for a lowly supply ship. But your little upgrades won't save you this time. We brought some friends to join the party." Erica's blood ran cold as additional pirate vessels emerged from the darkness, their weapons powering up. This was no longer a single corvette. It was an entire raiding party, intent on overwhelming the Voyager's defenses through sheer force of numbers. "All hands. Battle stations." Erica barked into the intercom, her voice tinged with urgency. "Divert all available power to the shields and weapons systems. We're in for one hell of a fight." As the pirate ships closed in, Erica gripped the Voyager's controls, her jaw set with determination. She knew they were outgunned and outmatched, but she refused to go down without a fight. The supply ships had become too dangerous for the pirates to ignore, and she would do whatever it took to prove it. The fate of the entire supply chain rested on her shoulders. Erica couldn't afford to fail. Not now, not ever. With a deep breath, she steeled her nerves and prepared to meet the pirate onslaught head-on. "Bring it on, you scum," she muttered under her breath. "Let's see if you've learned your lesson." The battle was about to begin. News of the astral Voyager's unexpected firepower spread like wildfire through the criminal underworld. Pirate captains across the galaxy were left scratching their heads, trying to make sense of the startling reports. Davos, the ruthless leader of the notorious Black Syndicate, slammed his fist down on the conference table, his face contorted with rage. Impossible. Those supply ships have always been easy prey. How could they have become so well defended? His lieutenants exchanged uneasy glances, reluctant to incur their commander's wrath. Finally, one of the more seasoned pirates, Kara, spoke up. "It seems the Galactic Trade Federation has been quietly upgrading their entire fleet," she explained, her voice measured. "They've outfitted the cargo vessels with advanced defensive systems, military-grade hardware that can fend off even our most powerful raiding parties." Davos narrowed his eyes, his fingers drumming on the table's surface. "Unacceptable. Those supply routes are the lifeblood of our operations. We can't afford to have them fortified against us." Kara nodded slowly. "I agree, but this changes the game. We can no longer rely on our usual tactics of overwhelming the cargo ships with brute force. We'll need to devise a new strategy if we want to regain control of those trade routes." The other pirates murmured in agreement, the mood in the room growing increasingly tense. Davos let out a frustrated growl, his gaze sweeping across the assembled gang leaders. "Then that's exactly what we'll do. I want everyone to go back to their crews, scour the galaxy for any intel on these upgraded supply ships. find their weaknesses, their vulnerabilities, anything we can exploit. He leaned forward, his eyes gleaming with malice. We'll hit them where it hurts the most, and show the Galactic Trade Federation that they can't keep us out of our own backyard. As the meeting adjourned, the pirates scattered, each crew returning to their respective ships to begin their search. Davos, however, remained behind, his mind racing with a plan that was already taking shape. "Those supply captains think they've won," he muttered to himself, a twisted smile spreading across his face. "But they have no idea what's coming." Erica let out a weary sigh as she pored over the latest sensor data from the Astral Voyager's recent encounter. The pirate corvette had been a formidable challenge, its attack pattern suggesting a level of coordination and tactics that went beyond the raiders' usual swarming tactics. "It seems the pirates are adapting to our upgraded defences faster than we anticipated," she murmured, her brow furrowed in concern. Jax nodded grimly. "Agreed. And if the reports we've been receiving from the rest of the fleet are any indication, they're not the only ones." Erica turned to face her first officer, her expression grave. "You're saying this is happening across the entire supply network?" "I'm afraid so, Captain," Jax replied. "The other captains are reporting similar incidents, pirate gangs testing the limits of our new defensive capabilities, probing for weaknesses." Erica drummed her fingers on the console, her mind racing. "Then we need to stay one step ahead of them. Have the engineers start developing countermeasures for these new tactics. I want our point defense systems optimized, our shields reinforced, anything that can give us an edge." "Understood," Jax said, already moving to relay the orders. "I'll also send out a priority transmission to the rest of the fleet, coordinate our efforts. United, we stand a better chance of weathering this storm." As Jax hurried off to oversee the upgrades, Erica turned her gaze back to the sensor feed, her expression grim. The pirate threat was evolving, and the Galactic Trade Federation's supply ships would have to adapt just as quickly if they wanted to maintain control of the vital trade routes. "We're not going down without a fight," she muttered under her breath. "Not this time." Deep within the heart of the Black Syndicate's stronghold, Davos pored over the latest intelligence reports, a twisted smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. The information his underlings had gathered painted a clear picture. The supply ship's defences, while formidable, were not infallible. "So, they think they can keep us at bay with a few upgraded turrets and shields," he mused, his fingers drumming against the table. "Fools. They have no idea what we have in store for them." Kara, his most trusted lieutenant, stood by his side, her expression unreadable. "The captains are reporting that the supply ships are networking their defensive systems, coordinating their efforts. It's going to be a challenge to overwhelm them with our usual tactics." Davos waved a dismissive hand. "Then we'll have to get creative. Divide and conquer, Kara. I want you to assemble our best tactical teams, our most skilled pilots. We're going to hit these cargo vessels with everything we've got. A coordinated assault that will bring the Galactic Trade Federation to its knees." Kara nodded, a gleam of anticipation in her eyes. "It will be done, boss. We'll show those supply captains that they're no match for the Black Syndicate." As Kara departed to carry out her orders, Davos leaned back in his chair, a sinister chuckle rumbling in his chest. The supply ships may have become too dangerous for the average pirate, but he was no average pirate. He had been planning for this very contingency, and he was more than ready to show the Galactic Trade Federation the true meaning of fear. The days of easy pickings were over. Now the real battle was about to begin. The news of the supply ship's newfound defensive capabilities had sent shockwaves through the pirate underworld, leaving the various criminal syndicates scrambling to adapt their tactics. But Davos, the ruthless leader of the Black Syndicate, was not one to be easily deterred. As his lieutenants pored over the latest intelligence reports, Davos paced the dimly lit war room, his brow furrowed in deep thought. The supply captains may have won a few skirmishes, but he was determined to turn the tide in the pirates' favour. So, the Trade Federation has been upgrading their fleet, networking their defensive systems, Davos mused, his voice low and contemplative. And they've been coordinating their efforts to fend off our attacks. Kara, his trusted second-in-command, nodded grimly. Yes, boss. The captains are reporting that the supply ships are acting as a unified force, supporting each other in battle. It's going to be a lot harder to overwhelm them with our usual tactics. Davos drummed his fingers on the table, his eyes narrowing. Then we'll have to change the game. If they've become too dangerous to take on individually, we'll simply have to hit them all at once. Kara's eyes widened with understanding. A coordinated assault. You want to throw everything we've got at them, all at once. Precisely, Davos replied, a feral grin spreading across his face. We'll assemble our best pilots, our most skilled tacticians. A fleet of our fastest, most heavily armed corvettes, all striking the supply network simultaneously. He leaned forward, his voice lowering to a menacing growl. We'll show those cargo captains that they're no match for the might of the Black Syndicate. The other pirates in the room murmured in agreement, their expressions a mix of anticipation and trepidation. They all knew the risk of such a bold plan, but Davos' charisma and unwavering determination was enough to quell their doubts. Kara stepped forward, her brow furrowed. It's a risky gambit, boss. Even with our best efforts, the supply ship's defences may be too much for us to overcome. We could be walking right into a trap. Davos let out a harsh laugh. Then we'll make sure it's a trap of our own design. I want you to coordinate with the other syndicate leaders, Kara. Rally every able-bodied pirate we can muster. This is our chance to reclaim what's rightfully ours. Kara nodded reluctantly, realizing there was no convincing Davos to abandon this course of action. Very well, boss. I'll get the word out immediately, but I hope you know what you're doing. As Kara departed to carry out her orders, Davos turned his attention to the holographic star charts displayed on the table before him. His fingers traced the intricate network of trade routes, his mind racing with the details of his grand scheme. Oh, I know exactly what I'm doing, he murmured, a dangerous glint in his eye. The supply captains may have gotten the upper hand for now, but their luck is about to run out. Erica's heart sank as Jax relayed the latest intelligence reports from across the supply fleet. The pirate gangs had been alarmingly active, probing the defences of the cargo vessels with increasing fervour. It seems they're coordinating their efforts, adapting their tactics to overcome our countermeasures, Jax said, his brow furrowed with concern. And the reports indicate they're mobilizing a massive assault force, even rallying the other syndicates to join them. Erica felt a chill run down her spine. How many ships are we talking about? Dozens, maybe more, Jax replied grimly. This isn't going to be a simple raiding party, Captain. It's going to be an all-out assault, designed to overwhelm our defences through sheer force of numbers. Erica's grip tightened on the edge of the console, her mind racing. We need to warn the rest of the fleet, coordinate our defences. This is going to be the fight of our lives. Jax nodded, already moving to relay the urgent message. I'm transmitting the alert now. All captains are being ordered to converge on the most vulnerable supply routes. Prepare for the incoming attack. Erica took a deep, steadying breath. And what about the astral voyager? Are we ready for this? "As ready as we can be," Jax replied, his expression grim. "The engineers have upgraded our shields and point defense systems to the maximum. We're armed to the teeth, but it may not be enough," Erica finished, her voice barely above a whisper. The Astral Voyager was no warship built for the rigors of combat. Its defenses, while formidable, were not designed to withstand a sustained assault from a fleet of heavily armed pirate vessels. Erica knew they were outmatched, outgunned, and facing a threat that could very well overwhelm them. And yet, she couldn't bring herself to back down. The colonies they served, the lives they were sworn to protect. They were counting on the supply ships to keep the vital trade routes open. Erica would be damned if she let the pirates take that away from them. "Then we'll give them everything we've got," she said, her voice steel-edged. "Signal the crew to prepare for battle. This is our last stand, Jax. We'll show those pirates that the supply ships are a force to be reckoned with." Jax saluted, his expression resolute. "Aye, aye, Captain. The crew is ready. Let's give those raiders a fight they'll never forget." As the Astral Voyager surged forward, Erica steeled herself for the coming onslaught. The pirates had made a grave miscalculation. They had underestimated the determination and resilience of the supply captains. And this time, they would pay the price. The Astral Voyager emerged from hyperspace, its powerful engines propelling it towards the vital supply route. But instead of the usual solitude of deep space, Erica's sensors were immediately flooded with multiple contacts, an entire fleet of pirate vessels converging on their position. "Captain, we've got at least 24 corvettes and gunships on an intercept course," Jax reported, his voice tense. "They're broadcasting a demand for our immediate surrender." Erica's jaw tightened as she gripped the ship's controls. "Tell them to go to hell. Charge the plasma cannons and prepare the point defense turrets. We're not going down without a fight." The pirate ships surged forward, their weapons blazing. Erica watched as the Voyager's upgraded shields flared to life, deflecting the barrage of laser fire and missiles. But she knew their defenses wouldn't hold forever against such an overwhelming assault. "Return fire," she barked. "Target their engines and weapon systems. We need to buy ourselves some time." The Voyager's turrets sprang to life, lancing out with searing bolts of plasma that raked across the pirate ship's hulls. Several of the corvettes peeled off, trailing smoke and sparks, but the rest pressed on relentlessly. "They're not letting up, Captain," Jax shouted. "We're taking heavy damage to the port shields." Erica's mind raced, searching for a way to turn the tide of the battle. They couldn't keep up this defensive posture forever. Sooner or later, the pirates would overwhelm them with sheer numbers. And then inspiration struck. "Jax, signal the other supply ships. Tell them to converge on our position, but keep their distance. I've got an idea." Her first officer hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Aye, aye, Captain," transmitting the coordinates now. As the Voyager continued its barrage, Erica caught a glimpse of their pursuers in the distance. The pirate fleet, clustered tightly together as they closed in for the kill. Gritting her teeth, she steered the cargo vessel on a perilous course, weaving between the asteroids and debris that littered the sector. "What are you doing, Erica?" Jax demanded, his eyes wide. "We're heading straight into that asteroid field. Trust me, Jax," Erica replied, her voice calm and focused. "We're about to give those pirates a taste of their own medicine." The Voyager surged forward, its maneuverable thrusters allowing it to navigate the treacherous terrain with practiced ease. The pirate ships, larger and less agile, struggled to keep up, their bulky frames taking heavy damage as they collided with the floating debris. Direct hits on 3 enemy vessels. one of the crew members reported. "They're breaking off, their shields failing." Erica allowed herself a grim smile. "Keep it up, people. We've got them right where we want them." As the Voyager continued its breakneck pace through the asteroid field, Erica caught a glimpse of the other supply ships on her monitors, flanking the pirate fleet from a safe distance. Jax's eyes widened as he realized her plan. "You're luring them into a trap," he murmured, awe in his voice. "Precisely," Erica replied. "With the other captains ready to pounce, we can overwhelm these raiders once and for all." The pirate ships, battered and disoriented, were unable to keep up with the Voyager's agile maneuvers. One by one they peeled off, their captains realizing that this was no easy prey. But just as they began to retreat, they found themselves enveloped by a hail of plasma fire, the other supply ships emerging from their hiding places to strike. Chaos erupted as the pirate fleet was caught in a devastating crossfire, their shields and weapons systems overloaded. Erica watched with grim satisfaction as the raiders attempted to flee, their ships crippled and adrift. "They're in full retreat, Captain," Jax reported, his voice tinged with exhilaration. "We've done it. We've beaten them back." Erica let out a weary sigh, her grip on the controls relaxing slightly. "Not yet, Jax. Keep the crew on high alert. Those pirates are going to regroup, and they'll be back with a vengeance." As the Astral Voyager and the other supply ships regrouped, Erica couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. The cargo captains had proven that they were no longer easy targets, that they were willing to fight tooth and nail to protect the vital trade routes. But she knew the battle was far from over. The pirates had learned a painful lesson today, but they would not give up so easily. Erica could already envision them plotting their next move, their desperation fueling their determination to reclaim their lucrative prey. "This is just the beginning," she murmured, her eyes narrowing as she stared out into the void. "The supply ships have become too dangerous for the pirates to ignore, and we're not going anywhere without a fight." With a renewed sense of purpose, Erica turned her attention to the next leg of the journey, her crew prepared to face whatever challenge lay ahead. The days of easy pickings for the raiders were over. From now on, the supply ships would be the hunters, not the hunted. News of the supply ships' decisive victory against the pirate armada spread rapidly through the criminal underworld, leaving the raiders' leaders reeling. Davos, the ruthless head of the Black Syndicate, slammed his fist down on the conference table, his face contorted with rage. "Impossible," he snarled. "How could a fleet of lightly armed cargo vessels overcome our best pilots and ships?" Kara, his lieutenant, stood before him, her expression grim. "It seems the supply captains have developed effective countermeasures against our usual tactics, boss. They lured our forces into a trap and then overwhelmed them with coordinated firepower." Devos let out a frustrated growl, his fingers drumming against the table's surface. "Damn those cargo captains. They'd made a grave mistake in defying us. Now they'll pay the price." The other pirate leaders in the room exchanged uneasy glances, their own confidence shaken by the unexpected defeat. Devo's reputation for ruthlessness was well earned, and they knew better than to cross him when he was in such a volatile mood. "What do you propose we do, Devos?" one of the lieutenants asked tentatively. Devos leaned back in his chair, his eyes narrowing. "We regroup, that's what. We'll need to reevaluate our tactics, come up with a new strategy to overwhelm those fortified supply ships." He paused, a twisted smile spreading across his face. "And then we'll hit them with everything we've got, until they're begging for mercy." The other pirates murmured in agreement, their own thirst for vengeance against the upstart cargo captains growing. Kara, however, remained silent, her brow furrowed in thought. "Boss, if I may?" She began, her voice measured. Perhaps it's time we reconsidered our approach. Those supply ships are no longer the easy targets they once were. Continuing to attack them head-on may not be the wisest course of action. Davos fixed Kara with a withering glare. Are you suggesting we let them win, Kara? That we simply abandon our rightful claim to those trade routes? Kara shook her head quickly. No, not at all. But we need to be smarter about this. The supply captains have proven they're willing to fight back, and they've got the firepower to make it stick. Devos drummed his fingers on the table, his expression thoughtful. Go on. We need to find their weaknesses, their vulnerabilities, Kara continued. Exploit them in ways they won't expect. Divide and conquer, wear them down until they have no choice but to submit. The other pirates murmured in agreement, the spark of inspiration kindling in their eyes. Devos leaned back in his chair, a calculating gleam in his gaze. Yes, I like the way you think, Kara. Those cargo captains may have gotten the upper hand for now, but they haven't seen the last of us. He chuckled, a sinister edge to his laughter. We'll show them that the Black Syndicate doesn't give up so easily. As the meeting adjourned, the pirates scattered, each crew returning to their ships to begin plotting their next move. Davos, however, remained behind, his mind racing with the details of his new plan. Those supply captains think they've won, he muttered to himself, a predatory smile spreading across his face. But they have no idea what's coming. Erica watched with a mixture of pride and trepidation as the supply fleet regrouped, the captains sharing their experiences and strategies. The decisive victory against the pirate armada had boosted the crew's morale, but she knew the raiders were far from finished. They won't give up so easily, she murmured to Jax, her gaze sweeping over the assembled ships. This was just the first round. The pirates are going to come back stronger, more determined than ever. Jax nodded, his expression grave. I agree, Captain. We need to stay vigilant, keep our defences upgraded, and our crews ready for whatever they throw at us. Erica let out a weary sigh. That's the problem, Jax. We can't keep playing defence forever. Sooner or later, we're going to have to take the fight to them. Her first officer's eyes widened. You mean going on the offensive, taking the battle to the pirate strongholds? Exactly, Erica replied, her voice tinged with determination. We've shown them that the supply ships are no longer easy pickings. Now it's time to prove that we're not just defending our territory, we're ready to go on the hunt. Jax nodded slowly, the gears in his mind turning. It's a risky proposition, but I see your point. If we can disrupt their operations, cut off their supply lines and funding, it could cripple their ability to mount further attacks. Precisely, Erica said, a hint of a smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. The pirates have underestimated us for too long. Now it's time to show them that the supply captains are a force to be reckoned with. As the other captains approached, Erica outlined her plan, her voice clear and commanding. The cargo crews listened intently, their expressions a mix of determination and trepidation. But Erica could see the resolve in their eyes. They were ready to take the fight to the pirates, to reclaim their rightful place on the trade routes. From this day forward, the supply ships will no longer be the hunted, Erica declared, her gaze sweeping across the assembled captains. We're the hunters now, and we won't stop until every last pirate is driven from these sectors. The crew erupted in a chorus of cheers, their enthusiasm fueled by the promise of vengeance. Erica allowed herself a small smile, her grip tightening on the Voyager's controls. The days of easy pickings for the pirates were over. Now the real battle was about to begin. With the pirate threat diminished, The Galactic Trade Federation wasted no time in rebuilding its battered supply chain. Cargo captains like Erika Voss were greeted with a newfound respect as they navigated the vital trade routes, their daring exploits against the raiders becoming the stuff of legend. Erika stood on the bridge of the Astral Voyager, watching as the familiar lights of a distant colony world came into view. The journey had been uneventful, a welcome respite after the harrowing battles that had taken place in these very sectors. "All systems nominal, Captain," Jax reported, a hint of pride in his voice. The supply run went off without a hitch. Erika allowed herself a small smile. "Excellent work, Jax. Inform the colony authorities that we're ready to commence unloading." She paused, her expression turning thoughtful. "And send a priority message to the rest of the fleet. Let them know we made it through without incident." Jax nodded, already tapping away at his console. "Transmitting now, Captain. I'm sure the other captains will be relieved to hear it." As the Voyager carefully maneuvered into the docking bay, Erika couldn't help but reflect on how much had changed in the past few months. The supply ships had gone from being easy targets for the pirates to becoming the protectors of the vital trade routes, their once meagre defenses transformed into formidable countermeasures. "We did it, Jax," she murmured, her gaze sweeping over the bustling spaceport. "We showed those raiders that they can't push us around anymore." Her first officer smiled, his eyes shining with pride. "That we did, Captain. The supply captains are heroes now, respected throughout the galaxy." Erika nodded, a hint of wistfulness in her expression. "Yes, but—" She paused, her brow furrowing. "I can't help but feel that the peace won't last. The pirates are resourceful, determined. They're bound to regroup, come back with a vengeance." Jax's smile faded, his own expression turning serious. "You're right, Erika. We can't afford to let our guard down. The battle may be won, but the war is far from over." Erika sighed, her shoulders sagging slightly. "I know. That's why we need to keep upgrading our defenses, stay one step ahead of the raiders. The colonies are counting on us to keep the supply lines open." As the Voyager's crew began the delicate process of offloading the precious cargo, Erika couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The pirate threat may have been diminished for now, but she knew it was only a matter of time before they resurfaced, their desperation fueling their determination to reclaim their lucrative prey. "We'll be ready for them," she muttered under her breath, her jaw set with determination. "They won't catch us off guard again." In the dimly lit war room of the Black Syndicate's stronghold, Davos pored over the latest intelligence reports, his brow furrowed in concentration. The recent defeats at the hands of the supply captains had been a humiliating blow, but he refused to accept it as a permanent setback. Kara, his trusted lieutenant, stood by his side, her expression unreadable. "The supply ships have become too well defended for our usual tactics, boss. We need to rethink our approach if we want to regain control of those trade routes." Davos drummed his fingers on the table, his eyes narrowing. "Oh, we'll regain control, Kara, but not through brute force. These cargo captains have shown themselves to be a resourceful, determined bunch. We need to outmaneuver them, wear them down until they have no choice but to surrender." Kara nodded slowly, her brow furrowing. "What did you have in mind?" Davos leaned back in his chair, a predatory smile spreading across his face. "We'll target their weak points, their vulnerabilities. Cut off their supply lines, disrupt their operations, sow fear and doubt among the captains." He paused, his gaze sharpening. "And when the time is right, we'll strike with everything we've got." Kara's eyes widened, a glimmer of understanding dawning on her features. "You want to cripple their logistical network, isolate the supply ships from their support systems." Precisely, Davos replied, his voice low and menacing. We'll make them realize that they're no longer the hunters, but the hunted. And when they're at their weakest, we'll descend upon them like a swarm of locusts, overwhelming them with our full might. Kara nodded, a gleam of anticipation in her eyes. I'll get the word out to the other syndicates, boss. We'll coordinate our efforts, strike at the Trade Federation's vulnerabilities from all sides. Davos chuckled, the sand sending a chill down Kara's spine. Excellent. This time, we'll show those supply captains that they're no match for the Black Syndicate. As Kara departed to carry out her orders, Davos turned his attention back to the holographic displays, his mind racing with the details of his plan. The supply ships may have won the initial battles, but the war was far from over. And this time, he was determined to emerge victorious. The days of easy pickings may have come to an end, but the pirates were far from finished. The real fight was just beginning. In the years that followed, the supply ships remained on high alert, their defensive systems constantly upgraded to stay ahead of the evolving pirate tactics. Erika Voss and her crew aboard the Astral Voyager continued to ferry crucial resources across the galaxy, their mission made all the more critical by the lingering threat of the Raiders. As the Voyager glided through the inky blackness of space, Erika couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The peace they had enjoyed in recent months had been tenuous at best, and she knew it was only a matter of time before the pirates resurfaced with a vengeance. Captain, all systems are operating within nominal parameters, Jax reported, his tone measured. But our sensors are detecting increased chatter on the pirate channels. It seems they've been unusually active in the surrounding sectors. Erika frowned, her gaze narrowing. That's concerning. Have you been able to determine the nature of their movements? Jax shook his head slowly. No, nothing definitive yet. But the other captains have been reporting similar activity. It has all of us on edge. Erika drummed her fingers against the console, her mind racing. The pirate threat may have been diminished, but she knew Davos and his ilk were not the type to simply give up. They would be back, more determined than ever to reclaim their lucrative prey. Keep monitoring the situation, Jax, she said, her voice steady. And make sure the crew is at the ready. I have a feeling we're about to have company. As the Voyager continued on its course, Erika couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that had settled in the pit of her stomach. The supply ships had become the protectors of the vital trade routes, their once meagre defences transformed into formidable countermeasures. But she knew that their newfound strength had come at a price. The pirates would not give up easily. They would adapt, evolve their tactics, and come back with a vengeance. And Erika and her crew would have to be ready to meet them head-on, their vigilance never wavering. Days turned to weeks, and the reports of increased pirate activity continued to trickle in. Erika could feel the tension building among the supply captains, their resolve tested by the constant threat of attack. But she refused to let fear or doubt creep into her own determination. We've come too far to back down now, she muttered, her gaze fixed on the distant stars. The colonies are counting on us. We can't afford to fail. And so, the supply ships remained on high alert, their crews ever vigilant, their defensive systems constantly upgraded and fine-tuned. Erika and her fellow captains knew that the real battle was far from over, that the pirates would continue to test their resolve, probing for weaknesses, seeking any opportunity to regain control of the vital trade routes. But they were ready. The days of easy pickings for the raiders were over. From now on, the supply ships would be the hunters, not the hunted. In the shadowy confines of the Black Syndicate's stronghold, Davos pored over the latest intelligence reports, a twisted smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. The supply captains may have won the initial battles, but he was far from finished. So, they think they can keep us at bay with their upgraded defences, he murmured, his fingers drumming against the table. Fools. They have no idea what we have in store for them. Kara, his trusted lieutenant, stood by his side, her expression unreadable. The reports indicate the supply ships have maintained a high state of readiness, Captain. Their defensive systems are more advanced than ever, and they've been networking their efforts to support one another. Devos chuckled, the sound low and menacing. Exactly as we anticipated. They've become complacent, relying on their precious upgrades to keep us at bay. He leaned forward, his eyes gleaming with malice. But we've been working tirelessly to find their weaknesses, to exploit the vulnerabilities in their logistical network. Kara nodded, a gleam of understanding in her gaze. So, the time has come to strike then. Devos smiled, his expression darkening. Indeed it has, my dear. We've amassed our forces, coordinated our efforts with the other syndicates. The supply captains have no idea what's about to hit them. He turned his attention to the holographic displays, his fingers tracing the intricate web of trade routes that spanned the galaxy. They may have become the protectors of these vital corridors, but they're about to learn a harsh lesson. No one takes what's rightfully ours and gets away with it. Kara stepped forward, her brow furrowed with concern. And what of the colonies, the lives that depend on those supply lines? Are you willing to risk their well-being for the sake of your vengeance? Devos waved a dismissive hand. The colonies are of no concern to me, Kara. They are merely collateral damage in our quest to reclaim what is ours. He fixed her with a steely gaze, his voice hardening. The supply captains have made their choice, and now they will face the consequences. As Kara departed to relay the orders to the pirate fleet, Devos leaned back in his chair, a predatory smile spreading across his face. The supply ships may have become too dangerous for the average raider, but they were about to learn that the Black Syndicate was no average foe. The real battle was about to begin.